If any new joinees today, you're thinking where to find the recordings of this overview sessions, you can just search join DevOps Siva. And so I'm maintaining one English channel from last few days. So I'm going to upload the content here. So something related to the technical concepts in future also. So I'll pick up this channel. I'm posting this link in the chat. So this is where you can find the recordings of these sessions. So yesterday, we discussed operating systems and scripting. We'll have a small recap for 5 minutes. And we discussed Windows over Linux. Windows has a lot of graphics. That's why it consumes a lot of power. And then, and it is not a free and memory, timing, performance, everything is low when compared to the Linux. So Linux is selected as vast operating system in the server world. Even supercomputers completely, they use Linux servers. Okay, and so even we use desktop servers, mobiles, or including refrigerators, TVs, every electronic device which has these components like RAM, CPU, processor, hard disk, operating system. These are called as, you can call them as computers. Okay, you can call your mobile also as computer. So our Linux OS, it will consume low power, more performance. It is free stability. You can keep the Linux over running for years. Okay, if you don't use your Windows laptop for 3-4 days, then it will be stuck for a few minutes. But Linux is not like that. You don't need to touch it. It can run for continuously for years without restart. Okay, and it occupies very less memory. In Linux, everything is text, so performance is more. So earlier we had Unix. Okay, Linux is created based on the Unix principles, but it is not tightly coupled with hardware. Okay, so everything is a command in Linux operating system, and you don't need to worry about those commands. You don't need to learn each and every command. Hardly you may remember 20-30 commands. That is enough. Okay. When you need something, you can always go for Google search and find out the result. So Linux is a kernel actually. It's not a full-fledged operating system. Everybody is taking the Linux code and then they are creating some utilities on top of Linux kernel and they are releasing it as a Linux distribution. So one of the top companies doing that is Red Hat Enterprise Linux, and it is the enterprise version, not a free actually. So mostly financial companies, they use RHEL, and Ubuntu is also another Linux distribution, and Android is also another Linux distribution. We have CentOS. So RHEL is exactly same as these 4 community editions. Okay, so we can use this OS in our training. It is 100% same, but we don't have support from the company. But as a practice, we don't need any support from the RHEL, so we are going for with CentOS. Okay, so some basic commands you need to understand: VIM editor and SCD editor. And so these are the basic commands we discuss. tar, and whenever we require, we always discuss that command and we will understand the command. So on top of this, you need to understand how to create users, create groups, adding users to the group, removing the groups, and access management here. Package management, how to install packages within Linux server, how to run them as services, how can you manage the process, how network management, okay, how can you check the ports, IP addresses, everything we will learn in this concept. Okay, so yesterday we discussed cloud is the better option nowadays because we don't need to have physical space, we don't need to maintain the networking, we don't need to maintain some physical resources to secure the space, we don't need to maintain, we don't need to go for OS installations manually, power connections. So everything is a burden for the projects. So that's why everybody is moving for the cloud. Okay, so that is why cloud is mandatory for DevOps now. So all of you create AWS cloud accounts. Okay, so just make sure you are using the same name with the debit card name. Even you use your brothers or friends debit and credit cards, use their names only connected to the bank accounts. So yesterday we created one Linux server, we connected to it using SSH protocol. So and the protocol is SSH-I. You need to give your PEM file and then username @ IP address. Okay, so we created public key and private key mechanism. We uploaded the public key to the server and we used private key. And scripting. So yesterday we discussed So scripting is always good to automate. Okay, you don't need to log, you don't need to run the commands one by one manually. Just keep the commands in a single file with some conditions and loops. Then automatically everything will happen within minutes. There is no scope for manual errors as part of scripting. So shell scripting is mandatory, and Python scripting is slowly becoming mandatory. Okay, as of now, it is fine if you are not aware of Python also, but at least shell scripting is mandatory. If you know one scripting, then you can use always the same concepts to another scripting language also. So this is what we discussed. So yesterday conclusion is learning Linux operating system, at least to the intermediate level, and Bash or shell scripting, both are same, and Python scripting is optional or more than optional now. So today we will discuss on configuration management and then source code management. Okay. So what is configuration? What is management? Okay. So developers are continuously developing something. Okay. They are doing development for our restaurant, and they are creating user authentication, signups, order management, product catalog, payments, and deliveries. Everything they are creating some code, either in Java, Python, or .NET, any language, PHP, whatever the language they use. Okay. So DevOps guy responsibility is deploy that application in a server. So how fast you need to deploy, you can deploy is the matter. Okay. Like as fast as possible. Not only fast and then accurate also. So speed and accuracy. When you're writing competitive exams like IIT, MSET, AIEEE, so speed and accuracy matters. The same way, when you're deploying the application also, speed and accuracy is the matter. If a company like Amazon.com is doing fast deployments with less errors than Flipkart, then definitely Amazon is going to be the market leader. So that is what's happening now. So Amazon has a lot of technology. So that is why it is becoming market leader in e-commerce as well as cloud computing. Okay. The speed and accuracy is the matter. So so developers are developing the code. So what we need to do is we need to create a server as a DevOps engineer. And then, for example, they are doing the development in Java. So install Java in a server and then create some users, Linux users, to give access and run application. You should not use administrator user here, a non-administrator user. And then, so create some directories. So just like when you download a movie, so you always wants to keep it in a separate directory. Similarly, when you are deploying an application, you create some directories. That is something like opt, and then, for example, order management. Order management is the application here, or restaurant. So in this folder, you have to keep your application. So creating a server, install Java in a server, you will create some users, give access, create some directories, and download the code. Generally, we call it as artifact. And then download some application server. Just like Tomcat or Nginx, whatever. So this is, I'm giving general overview. Okay. So these are the steps involved whenever you are going for deployment. Okay. Here. Okay. So download the application server, download the code artifact, and then run application server. So these are the steps. Sorry. One second. I'm connected. Okay, thank you. Yeah, so these are the steps. So these things are called as configuration. Configuring a server to host application. So then if you access that server with IP address, you will be able to access the application. So these are the steps. How fast you can do these steps matter. Okay. For example, if you have one server, you can always go for shell script. Here, write a shell script like this. So maybe 20-30 years back, internet usage was very less. So one server is more than enough to handle the traffic. So, but from last 2-3 years, the internet usage is like there was an exponential growth in the internet usage. Now one server is not enough. For example, tomorrow I'm going to announce Big Billion Day. So the traffic is going to be at least 1,000 times more. For example, if you have 50 servers now, so just for tomorrow, you may need 500 servers. Okay. So in 450 extra servers, you need to do this configuration. Even you create a shell script, you need to log into the each and every server, run the shell script, wait for the result. If it is success, then go to the server. So 450 servers, if it is taking at least 10-15 minutes of time, 4,500 minutes. So that is not looking good. Okay. So what is the best way is Ansible. Okay. So Ansible, let us just draw a diagram. So what Ansible is doing here, the magic is, so there will be an Ansible server here. And you create the nodes. So we call them as Ansible nodes and Ansible, whatever, servers, Ansible. Yeah, so these are the servers. So Ansible connects to these servers. So this is server 1, this is server 2, this is server 3, this is server 4. Now you need to attach 100 servers. So what you can do is create 100 servers and hand over them to Ansible. Okay. So with a single command from this Ansible server, it will connect to those 100 servers at a time. Okay. So Ansible can connect 100 servers at a time, and it can run configuration. Okay. So do you understand the difference? So instead of logging into the each and every server manually, so a single person is able to connect to the all the servers at a time, and it is able to push the script. Okay, so it will push the script to each and every server connected to it. So then parallelly within few minutes or maximum within an hour, so your 100 servers will be ready with this configuration. Okay, and once the Big Billion Day is over, so Ansible can remove the servers. Okay, you can just delete those servers. So that this is the power of configuration management. So it's a centralized approach. Okay, and that is configuration. And what is management here? So management is nothing but, for example, you started Big Billion Day successfully. There are 500 servers, and there is a bug. There is a defect. Product price instead of 100, it is showing 1 lakh. Okay, and you cannot stop your Big Billion Day because you already announced. If you stop it, your company reputation will be gone. So now you have to do change. Like change is nothing but you, for example, our developers are fixing the code. So when they change the code, so you'll get new application version. Okay, for example, when you are using WhatsApp, so when they are going to release, or Android, when they are going to the new release, so there will be a new version. Okay, so new change in the code always creates new application version. So you need to deploy this application again. So this version you need to deploy again. So what are the steps generally? So generally, so if the application is already running, so what are the procedure of deployment is stop the application server. Okay, and then to remove the old application, copy the latest application, and start the server. Okay, so this is the procedure. So these are the 4 steps involved in a new application release or new application deployment. So this is simple, right? Very general. So like with a few common sense things, you can, I mean, so it's a common sense. Not only we don't need a technical knowledge to understand this. So when something is running, if you want to change this, temporarily stop the server, okay, and remove the old one, copy the new one, and restart. So this is the new application release. So to do these steps, again, you need to log into this 10,000 servers, or okay, or some servers like 500 servers. So again, it will take a lot of time. So what we do is you will create configuration in Ansible, just like a simple steps. Okay, push to 500 servers. So this is like management. So whenever you want new release, you can always do this. This is useful at the time of bug fixing. This is useful at the time of new features releases. Okay, you can go for this approach. That is how. So Ansible is useful to connect to the ideally infinite number of servers. It can push the configuration at a time to all the servers. You no need to log into these servers. Ansible has the connection established to these servers automatically through SSH authentication. So Ansible has the keys of these servers. In background, Ansible will log in and it will push. It will log in, it will push. So that is how it happens in the configuration management. So Ansible is a popular configuration management tool now. So it follows push approach. Okay. So push is nothing but whenever you want, you can push it. So there is another approach called pull approach. So this is becoming old now. So pull approach is a little bit different. So there will be one server. Earlier we had something called chef, the same nodes. Okay. So again, all these are connected to this chef. Simple difference. So here, instead of we push from here servers will pull. Okay, so we will schedule it, for example, every 30 minutes. So every 30 minutes, this server will contact this chef server. And if there is a change in configuration, it will pull and it will run. Okay, so that is the pull based approach. So you need to schedule here every 30 minutes. For example, if it happens something wrong in next 1 or 2 minutes, you have to come here and change the configuration time, and then you need to pull it. So this pull configuration has some disadvantages. So you need to wait for some time. So your servers will always connect to this in a periodic time, for example, 30 minutes or 1 hour, whatever the configuration you do. But here, whenever you want, you can push it in an emergency defects or something like that. So you can directly push it. Okay. So here for connections, there is an extra component called agent. So just like you have the LIC policies, you cannot contact the LIC company directly earlier days in earlier days. So you always had agents. Okay. So there will be an LIC agent. You approach the LIC agent, you pay some premiums, you pay some policies, then agent will go and then deposit the cash on behalf of you in the LIC server. Okay. For example, LIC office. I'm just calling it as LIC server. So, but nowadays, you no need of any agent. So you can always, your LIC will always push some notifications to you. There is a payment due, then you will pay it. So that is how the changes in architecture happen. So earlier you are following pull mechanism. That's the chef concept. Now no need of pull. So there will be no need of any agents. This is an extra component. You are removing this and you will get the notifications instantly. Okay. So this is about configuration management. It's a mandatory concept. Obviously, we need servers. Without servers, we cannot deploy the applications. So here we have something called speed and accuracy. So you will write Ansible scripts. So that will be like simple YAML files you will write like this. Okay. So restarting Tomcat, checking the starting it, and then download the latest application. So this is very simple. It by seeing the name itself, you can understand what it is doing. Okay. So this is what we are going to discuss. Removing the previous one, downloading the latest one, and checking the server is running or not, then restart. So this is very simple. Ansible is like very simple one. Just you need to understand the YAML syntax. That is also not a tough thing. So configuration management is mandatory in that Ansible is the popular tool now. Maybe in future you will get another tool, but the concept will be the same. So there will be a centralized location where you create the configuration. All the servers are connected to it, either push or pull. Okay, so the goal is to get the configuration and run it whenever we want. So that is the concept. So next thing we discuss on source code management, SCM. So our developers are writing programs and we are writing some scripts. Okay, there will be a lot of persons like 10 members, 20 members team. Okay, so you write your code, they write their code. So obviously a single person cannot develop the entire restaurant management code. Okay, so we need a team of 10 members or 20 members. So everybody develops some modules. Ultimately, we have to merge it. So how is this happening then? So in terms of source code management, for example, maybe 50 years back, so there is a bank. You have user. So you go to bank, just think 50 years back. And this bank has also branches like bank 1, and bank 2. So you have the account in this bank. Okay, 50 years back. So there was no computers, nothing. So you go to this bank, you have account in this bank. So everything is managed in the books. So you will withdraw or you will deposit the cash. But if you go to another bank branch at that time, so how difficult it was to withdraw the money. So this bank has to contact this, okay, either through phone call or through check, and then it will take 2 or 3 days time to withdraw money from this branch. Okay, so that's a very, very tough process. Okay, because these banks are not connected through the fastest communication. So similarly, you have your laptop. You are developing code. So for example, due to some issue, your laptop is crashed. but entire code is in your laptop. So that's a serious issue if you lose the code, correct? So that is why, so laptops and our servers are not designed to keep the code secure, okay? And like disaster management, we cannot do this. So anytime your laptop may crash, anytime your hard disk may fail, so you are not afford to lose the code. So that is why we have something called like source code management, like GitHub. When you are leaving from office, you will push this code to GitHub. Okay, so then it is safe here. So this GitHub company in background managing thousands and lakhs of servers, and it is replicating the code like from one server to another server. It is always keeping the backup. Daily it is maintaining, daily it is checking the servers are safe or not. It has the all mechanisms to keep your code secure. Okay, so just like this. So it is always not recommended to keep the code in local. So you can always push it to the GitHub. So tomorrow you get the new laptop. Okay. For example, your laptop is crashed. You got the new laptop. So what you can do here is you can directly pull it from here. Okay. Push and then pull. So this is that much simple, but Git is a mandatory technology, not only for DevOps and cloud engineers, for each and everyone in the IT industry, because everybody is developing scripts, everybody is developers are writing programs, like DevOps guys and even support guys, whatever the team you are in, you are writing some scripts like PLSQL scripts, shell scripts, and so those scripts it is not, we are not offered to keep them in your personal laptops. So you always push it in a centralized repositories called GitHub. Okay. So this is one thing. So it has multiple advantages, keeping the code secure. Okay. And another thing is version control. So what is version control? For example, let us write something in Notepad. Okay. So I'm writing something in Notepad. So I wrote this in last half an hour. Okay, can you tell me what I wrote exactly 10 minutes back till which line? Okay. So we cannot tell that. For example, maybe 10 minutes back, I wrote the code till here. Okay. So, but you cannot tell me exactly what happened in the previous stage or previous version. So the point here I want to mention as part of version control is code is continuously changing. Today Android version 1, tomorrow Android version 2, version 3, version 4, like that. For example, you released 4.5 version. It is running successfully for 1 week. After 1 week, you found a severe defect that is causing your business going down. Okay, so immediately you have to roll back to 4.4 version. How can you do that? So that is what the version control here. You can always, Git is keeping track of, so what you are doing. For example, so this is the repository I did in 2019. So here you can check, or let me go for another repository. For example, this one. Just I want to show you different dates. Find out something. Just finding different dates. See, I have different commits. So this is commits is nothing but whenever whenever you have done your coding, then you will push it. That will create one commit here. For example, on September 25, 2018, I created something and I pushed it. And then on September 26th, I pushed it again. I added few more codes, like maybe this is version something like this, 3F5 something. So like that, continuously I am developing the code. So at any point, okay, you can download this code. Okay, so you can see. So what is the code at this stage? You can always download this. Okay, so this is the one on October 8, 2018. So you can download this code. Okay. So this is what the version control. Version control means at any point of time, you can go back to previous versions. So that is the version control. And another thing is collaboration. So as we said, so there will be multiple persons. Okay, so this is person 1. Okay, so there will be multiple developers like user. So he is one person and he is another person and he is another person. So everybody is developing their code and they are pushing it to the GitHub. He is pushing and he is pushing and he is pushing. So ultimately our aim is to develop the restaurant application. So collaboration is nothing but I'm doing my code, you are doing your code, another person is doing their code, and everybody is pushing to the GitHub. Here we need to merge. So at a centralized location, code from everyone will be merged. Okay, so we will get some issues like conflicts, because two persons may write different code. So those issues can be sorted out. Okay, but this is one of the feature. So collaboration is also one of the feature. So this is the collaboration and version control. So these are the major features, and you are keeping your code secure also with source code management tool. Okay. So Git is highly popular in this. There is no other alternative from last 5 years and at least in next 10 years. Okay. So there will be a lot of concepts in this: pushing, pull request, merges, and rebases. All those concepts you will learn. Okay. So any questions still here? Only particular to this topic. Yes, Praveen, you have some question. Praveen R.
Yeah, hi sir. Sir, I asked about Python scripting.
Okay, Python scripting yesterday we discussed. So that is, we can say, optional for now, but it is good to learn.
Okay. So in this course, we will not be able to cover, is it?
Yeah, we will cover.
Okay. Now, what is the major difference between shell scripting, Ansible, and Python?
So you didn't check yesterday's recording. So I suggest you go and check yesterday's recording. It is already available. Yesterday I discussed in detail. Shell scripting is a native scripting within one server. Python, you can query the external systems.
No, sir. See, sorry. Actually, I'm sorry. I am not asking in that way. So when it comes to here, so Ansible, yeah. So Ansible also, yeah. So you're going
Ansible,
to, yeah, you're going to put some scripts or whatever it is in the Ansible, then it pulls into the different server. So when
yes.
it comes to the Python, what is, so are we also going to same kind of Python scripts in the Ansible server and then push it into the different server?
The
So during
configuration is the concept. So you need to do some configuration. So you can do it with shell scripting because shell is the native, but Python is not created for the configuration management. Okay. So Python is created for some automations. Like if you want data from other systems, then you can write Python scripting. For example, I want some data from AWS, how many servers exist in my project. You can always write Python script and pull it. If you want to stop the RDS instance or EC2 server, maybe today night at 8 p.m., For example, the use case of Python here in DevOps is, so there will be dev servers. Developers will stay in the company or in the project, maybe maximum from morning 7 a.m. to evening 9 p.m. So from 9 p.m. to 7 a.m. So your dev servers are running, but nobody is accessing, right?
Yeah.
9 p.m. to 7 a.m. So your dev servers are running, your RDS, everything is running in your dev infrastructure is running, but nobody is accessing.
Yeah.
But unnecessary, you are getting the cloud cost. Okay. So AWS will charge you. So you will write a Python script to find out dev infra and stop them at 9 p.m. Okay. And automatically start them at 7 a.m. Maybe some of our development team, they want some deviation. Maybe they are working late nights. You can always not include them also in the Python script. Okay, you can select particularly based on tags actually. So that is the use of Python scripting. So Python script, we don't use it for the configuration management. Ideally, you can do it, but that is not the intention. Okay, so Ansible is for configuration management. The difference between Shell and Ansible is Shell script, you have to log in inside or you need to run the script. But Ansible, it can run parallelly. I can say Ansible is little advanced than Shell scripting. Okay, sir. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So actually, as you said, the same example for Python, kind of some maintenance activities. So whenever the server is not usable, then obviously, so using a Python script, so we can stop, and when it is again the server is, and maybe in the business time, then we can start it. So with the same, actually, I work in IT, so actually we are maintaining SAP application. So similar kind of stuff. So we are doing some shell scripting. So we have a so what is the major difference here? So same kind of maintenance where shell scripts also do, and Python also, as you said. So it does. See, so no, what is I told we will contact AWS infrastructure. Maybe you are doing an on-premise.
Yeah, on-premise, exactly.
Okay. So AWS infrastructure, how can you do with this? Okay, I want you to connect to AWS. How can you log in?
Yeah.
How can you get the AWS EC2 instances? Through shell script, you cannot.
Yeah. Okay.
So AWS is giving some library called Boto3. So using that library, you will connect AWS account. You will fetch everything, not only EC2 RDS, you can fetch everything. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Sattar, you have some question?
Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Hi, Siva.
Hi.
I'm a working professional from IT sector.
Okay.
Like I have small doubt. In the in today's organization, most of them are asking this Python scripting only, not Shell. So like why it is getting advanced compared to Shell? That is my question.
So that is what I explained now. So earlier, maybe we didn't care about the dev infrastructure. We were not stopping it.
Okay.
So now the cost also matters because you have huge infrastructure in cloud environment. Cloud will charge each and every minute. So in earlier, at least 5-6 years back, everything is in your on-premise. You already have servers. You don't charge yourself. But when you're keeping in someone else infrastructure like AWS, so they will charge you each and every minute. So that is why we need to stop them. Using shell scripting, we cannot connect to the other systems. So that's the point yesterday I mentioned. The Linux or shell scripting is for internal purpose. Okay. So to query other systems, Linux is a native. If you tip 2% are from like Hindi, they can speak in Hindi language. But if the other person is talking to like American, he has to use English only. So that is why in the same way within the Linux server, if you want some automation, you can always go for shell scripting. That is more speed than Python. Okay, because that is the native. If you want to connect to other systems like whatever I explained now, you cannot use shell scripting. You have to use Python.
Okay. Okay, Siva. Another question is,
yeah.
For daily, like how many hours we have to spend on this DevOps course? Like I am working professional, like I have to find time. So like I can utilize and learn this DevOps tools,
Ideally
DevOps
24
concepts.
hours. Okay, so that
Okay.
is based on individual focus, individual interest. Yeah, I cannot generalize and say, but minimum 4 hours is good. So if you want fastest, then you spend more time. Okay, if you are good and you need to manage other things, then at least spend some time. Listen to the class, practice it, and then you are good. Okay, if you are full-time free, then I can say 8 to 10 hours.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. That's it.
Okay, yeah. Seren, you have some question?
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
So when we host an application like Tomcat, WebLogic,
Okay.
JD apps, when there is an issue, let's say when we are deploying the application or a code, a project, do we have to identify the source of the respective code module and inform the developer in DevOps, or how does that work?
No, so we are not the responsible persons to find the issue because we haven't developed them. So we know there is an issue. We'll inform developers. They have to clear the issue. So but we can, as a DevOps guy, you can understand the issue is from the code. So what is the code issue? It's not like sometimes your two types of issues. Your entire application is going down. That is one issue. Okay, immediately will be coming in. And there will be a small defects. So instead of 100 rupees, it is showing 1,000 rupees, or even you are giving proper username and password, it is not able to logging in. So these are the first few users. So these are the type of issues. So based on the issues, you can take the action.
Okay. So we should be able to differentiate between these two and move forward.
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Siva Prasad.
Hi Shiva, good morning.
Yeah, hi, good morning.
Thanks for sharing the knowledge.
Yes.
And I have two questions, Shiva. One
Yeah.
is for timings. It's the same time, right? 7 to 8:30.
Yeah, correct.
And we don't have a weekend classes, right?
Yeah, we don't have weekend.
And one more question is, I have a background of monitoring engineer. I'm trying to understand where exactly monitoring it fits and what is the advantage of that.
Monitoring.
Yeah, monitor.
So I can say in a high level, DevOps has two responsibilities. One is application deployment. So as I said in the beginning of the class, speed and accuracy, both should be maintained. Okay? Based on the approach you are following, you can get that speed and accuracy. So if you use Ansible, you can get the server's configuration immediately, and then you can immediately go for deployment. If you don't use Ansible, going to the shell scripting will take a lot of time and resources. Another thing is monitoring. So accuracy, how can you calculate if you monitor only? So you deploy the application, you leave for the day, and if you're not coming to the office next 7 days, there may be some issues in your code, right? So maybe a lot of, the AHA crash. When Prabhas gave interview to AHA, so AHA was crashed. So why is it? If somebody is not there to monitor, so who can find out the issue and who can clear the issue? So no system, no person is 100% perfect in this universe. So everybody has some defects, and maybe like including bots also. So you need to continuously monitor, like traffic. If suddenly there is a 1 crore traffic to your systems cannot handle. Okay, and application issues. Okay, so each and every system has defects. It's no system is 100% perfect. So DevOps responsibility is to create the monitoring stack as well. Your servers are responding well. Maybe your application is very good. So developer developed it very good, but maybe your underlying server is not good. Okay, while you are creating a server, maybe you have given very less memory and you did some mistakes in the configuration. So that is not capable of handling more traffic. So issues come from development as well as for our management also. So you need to continuously monitor and find out the issues. Okay, so can you tell me one use case what you are monitoring?
Currently, we are monitoring all the application and databases operating systems, but are on-premise. And currently now moving to public cloud, Azure and AWS, the same.
Yeah.
So,
So
but,
whatever, like, tell me.
Sorry, my question is like, we are doing application and database, all the infrastructure monitoring, but coming to DevOps, we have a plenty of tools. So where exactly this monitoring fit? Like regularly it is going for application and database or somewhere else, like in the integration part, or
No, not integration, the same way how you are monitoring. Right now you are monitoring databases or giving the response or not, and the applications are giving response or not. Sometimes we can see Facebook server is down. So it means there will be some issue. So you don't monitor the integration. You monitor only the application and servers. Here also same.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So no difference.
Thank you.
Most welcome. Vasanta Krishna, you have some question.
Hi, Shiva.
Yeah. Hi, Vasant.
I have the two questions.
Yes.
It's, we are using as part of this DevOps, we can use any kind of application server like Tomcat or NetGens or any other. So each application server has its own characteristics, right? So in that case, we have to learn all these servers and their behaviors and everything.
So nowadays, application itself is becoming more mature. For example, Java applications, Tomcat is coming with built-in. So you don't need to separately download the Tomcat and separately host it. So your Java Spring Boot applications, they have the built-in servers. And Node.js, just you don't need to understand in depth actually. Okay. So in any programming language, it needs some server to run the application. For example, Node needs Node server. Okay. And the commands itself has the functionality to run the application. Earlier, we had WebLogic, WebSphere, JBoss. Those are like heavyweight that occupies a lot of memory, that has very complex structure to run the applications. Nowadays, application programming is very, very easy. Application programs itself has the capability to run the application directly. So you can just give Java space student.jar. You don't need to have the Tomcat also. Within this student, it has the inbuilt Tomcat. It will directly run. Similarly, Python space something.py, node space server.js, directly it will be run. So this is very easy nowadays. You don't need to understand, you don't need to think it is complex.
Okay. So my next question is, as you said, the code management and all these things are done through the GitHub.
Yes.
The same thing can be achieved through the Team Foundation server, right? So we can do the collaboration.
Yeah.
So it has Jira also. Then,
yes. No, not Jira.
Yeah.
So olden days we had SVN. So that is somewhat outdated. So Git is the latest and popular. Maybe we have some other things like Perforce. There are something, but the concept is same. Source code management concept is same. So that is keeping your code secure. Okay. Yeah. And then version control, collaboration. Concepts are same. You can use anything, okay. But Git is the market leader.
Okay, Git is GitHub and Git is the market leader.
Yeah. So that, Git, yeah. Yes, please.
Yeah, is that we can easily accessible or we need to that company has to have any licensing coming to picture?
So that is open source does not mean 100% free. So they will give you limited access. If you want complete, then you can go for enterprise plan. So financial companies, they don't use GitHub. Actually, they will host this in their own servers. Okay. So GitHub itself is ultimate. End of the day, it is going to be another application.
Another
You can
application.
host this in your servers also. Okay, you can have your own GitHub servers.
Okay.
Okay, for example, github.tcs.com. Yeah, thank you. So these things anyhow we will discuss as part of the course. Now I am giving you the concept overview. And another advantage we have here is who changed. For example, there are too many defects in the code. We need to understand who is creating those many defects. Okay, so finding the person who is doing these things are also matter for us. So here, whenever you push something, Git will keep track of who did this. For example, this one. If you click on blame, so it can tell you who created this. Okay, so I created this, and it will give us clearly so at what time he did this change, at what time that person did the change, what is the reason of the change. Everything will be noted here, and there will be a review mechanism. Review mechanism through pull request. Something this is very popular and mandatory. Pull request. Okay, so you did some change. So there is a master branch here. Production code is running. You are not allowed to change directly in the production code. For example, if you are developing a product, you will not release the product directly to the public. So you will show the product to your friends and family members. You will take the feedback from them. And if they are giving good feedback, then you can release it. If they give you some suggestions, you will go back and then change the product, again, take the feedback, again, you release it to the public. So the same way, when production is running, you don't do the changes directly in the master branch. You create something, another branch that is called as feature, like new feature. You do the code change here. Okay, and you raise a pull request to master. Just like when you are developing a product, you go to your friends and family members for feedback. So you develop here and you will raise a pull request to master. Then all of your team members will review and they will give you your feedback and suggestions. And everyone, if everybody is good, then you will merge it into the master. So review mechanism is also an advantage using source code management. So source code management is mandatory, not only for DevOps engineer or cloud engineer, for everyone in IT industry. So ultimately, your project is nothing but your database and then your code. You have to keep your code secure with all these features. So as a DevOps engineer, you will understand how to create the repository, how to pull, how to push, how to go for pull request, how to go for merging. Okay, so all those things. Merging is nothing but if 10 persons are developing, at the end of the day, you need to match all the code and release it as a product. Okay, so all these things we will learn as part of source code management. Seren, you have, okay, we already gone through your question. Teja.
Hello.
Yeah, hi.
Hi, sir. We are using application management, sir. As a DevOps engineer, we also manage Android apps also. Versions.
You can manage anything using DevOps, not only software products, including embedded systems. Like for example, so our refrigerators, our smart TVs, and they are also running something in as application, right? So you will also manage them using DevOps. So DevOps is not only restricted to the software, it is everywhere. So what is the DevOps process? Automatically deploy. So I said again, speed and accuracy. Okay. So there is a code running in our refrigerators also. Okay, so it is tracking the cooling. So many that is called as, I can say, embedded development. Okay, embedded C language. So to deploy that as well, you need DevOps. Your Wi-Fi modems. So there is something running inside those modems, your Wi-Fi modems. That is also an some code like C language code. How you deploy that code into the modem is also again through DevOps. Okay, including software and hardware applications. I can say in our personal life also, DevOps says continuous following some process and you just continuously improve the process. So that is DevOps, right? So right now in our personal life, we are following some process. Tomorrow, if there is a better process, you follow and adapt to that process again. Okay. So do the same thing, do the things on the same day. Okay. That is the DevOps. If developer is doing something today, try to deploy and find the defects. Okay. For example, if I'm teaching something today, you have to go and practice today itself. Then you will you will get good results. If you practice after 1 week or 1 month, then definitely the results vary. Yeah. Thank you.
Sir,
Sorry, your voice is not clear. You can send that in a chat. Shekhar Potluri. Shekhar Potluri.
Hello.
Yeah.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, good morning.
Can I speak in Telugu?
Prefer English, if not possible. Okay.
Sir, is this course coding, sir? Coding, sir.
Okay, so this is very basic question. So you just go and find the recordings of today, yesterday, and day before yesterday. Thank you so much. Krishna Nallala. So just ask the questions related to the concepts what I'm explaining today.
Hi, Siva. Good morning.
Yeah, hi. Good morning.
Siva, regarding compliance, I have a question. Like, what the tools we are discussing now, will it be applied for any kind of compliances, or it is restricted to particular compliances?
No, this is like all these tools are past the complaints. That is why they are becoming popular and market leader nowadays.
And one thing is that right now we are using the HIPAA compliances, so we don't have any compliance manager in our organization. So can I promote these tools to our compliances?
Yes, you can. So these are popular. Even you can see here, Amazon Web Services itself keeping their code in the GitHub.
And all these tools are mostly open source. So how can we propose them?
Okay,
like
companies are preferring open source nowadays. Okay.
Fine. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, most welcome. And any questions related to these topics? Raju?
Hi, Shiva. Good morning.
Yeah, hi.
Yeah, thanks for sharing your knowledge.
Yes.
How comfortable are we in getting certification after completing this DevOps?
Okay, so
you are explaining good, but I am also referring some Google while you are explaining, grasping some knowledge regarding. You explained Ansible now.
Yeah.
Source code management tool.
Yes.
There are some other tools like Puppet, SaltStack.
Okay. So one concept, you only concentrate on one tool. So don't try to learn all tools in the market. Okay. Definitely Ansible is the major. Ansible is the popular. So you have other tools, but you cannot keep on learning all the tools one by one. Then it will take 10 years to learn DevOps. So here you understand. Okay. Yeah. Let me tell you.
Okay.
So here you understand the concept. Now you
Yes.
understand the configuration management. I
Yes.
never told about Ansible first. First, I told you the configuration management. What is configuration? How can you manage effectively? Then I told you Ansible. So
Yes.
Ansible may not be after 10 years, maybe Ansible is not popular. So another tool will come up. Okay, but the underlying concept is always same.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, are we comfortably clear that certification?
Yeah.
AWS
When it
DevOps?
comes to certifications, DevOps is completely open. No company or no person wants DevOps. Okay. But the certifications for DevOps is completely fake. So some companies they are doing just for money, because DevOps itself is open. DevOps is no. Do you know any company who is owning DevOps?
No, I am talking
right?
about
Yeah.
AWS.
Coming to that point. So these DevOps tools are popular, like Jenkins and Git and something like Maven. So what this AWS or Azure is doing here is they are taking the code. These are open source. So they are taking the code, they are releasing their product like code pipeline and Azure pipeline in Azure. And here code commit. And here it is in Azure, it is, what is this? Azure repos. And here code build. So these are free. These are open source. These are completely free actually. Jenkins, Git, Maven, all these are free tools. So these guys like AWS and Azure, so they are taking the source code and they are renaming it to something, and they are releasing as the services in their cloud environments.
Yes.
Okay. So if you start depending on them, so tomorrow is like you are keeping yourself locked to them. So if you are locking with infrastructure, that is fine. So you no need to lock yourself with these kind of things. For example, Azure DevOps is becoming very popular. So this is the complete thing they are doing highly wrong. So finally, so they are diluting the concept of DevOps by just keeping the name itself confusing. Azure DevOps is many guys are confusing. Is it the cloud or DevOps? So Azure DevOps is not a cloud. Azure DevOps is a DevOps tool suite. So if you are depending on these tools, you will never understand the concept. So everything is in their control. You just do some clicks and you will get something ready, but you will not understand what is happening in the background. You don't know how to install Jenkins. You don't know how to install management. You don't know what is continuous integration. So everything is I want to say, without understanding the concept, you may work in Azure DevOps, but you don't know what is DevOps. You just know how to click, how to do some clicks, how to do something in UI, but you will never understand the concept of DevOps, and you are keeping yourself locking to them. Okay. So that is why learning general DevOps, understanding the DevOps concepts is very important. So later, if your project is using this code pipeline or Azure pipeline, doesn't matter. The concept is same. You know how can you do it? You can easily do it. Okay. So that is why mostly everybody is using in the industry open DevOps, not these AWS DevOps or Azure DevOps. Now, whatever I'm telling is DevOps with AWS cloud. I'm telling the AWS cloud concepts, not AWS DevOps concepts. Okay. Even you learn Azure cloud concepts, not Azure DevOps concepts.
Yes.
Okay. So these guys are diluting the original intention of DevOps.
Yes, just like Git, AWS offering AWS code commit like
yeah.
that.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, most welcome. So that is the somebody asked, Dilip asked the difference between AWS DevOps and Azure DevOps. So this you can call it as AWS DevOps. This you call it as Azure DevOps. Okay, but DevOps with AWS is nothing but AWS cloud. Okay, not DevOps tools of AWS. So you no need to do DevOps certification. There is no company owned and there is no company that give you DevOps certification. If your project is using these tools and if your client asks to do it, then you can go for DevOps certified AWS certified DevOps professional. So otherwise, I recommend you to do the AWS Solution Architect Associate and Kubernetes. So these two are very important. Okay, definitely our training will cover these two. So you can easily do the certification. So let me go through the questions in the chat. Currently 2 years calls, there are no calls. I'm not responsible for the calls because recession is going. This is the best time to learn. So in next 3 to 4 months, if you completely concentrate on DevOps, definitely by this year end recession is going to be end, then you will be the first guy to get selected. That is my answer. Difference between GitOps and DevOps. GitOps is nothing but keeping everything in Git. no manual tasks. Do through scripting and keep the script in Git. That is GitOps. If you want to do some operations, so just don't do it manually, do it through the script and keep the script in GitHub or some, whatever it is, okay, like Bitbucket, GitLab, whatever. So that is GitOps, and DevOps is nothing but whatever we are discussing. All these things comes into DevOps. So OpenShift concept, somebody is asking. Kubernetes and OpenShift both are same. Okay, yeah, so yeah, that's all from today. So conclusion, okay, final question. Sujata, you have some question?
Hi, sir. Good morning.
Yeah, hi, good morning.
Now we are learning GCP with DevOps, right?
Not GCP, AWS.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So that's all for today. So conclusion is configuration management is very important as part of DevOps, and Ansible is the popular, and source code management is also mandatory. Learning Git is also mandatory. Okay. Thank you so much. See you in tomorrow's session with another DevOps concepts. You can find the recording. So in this channel, just search the join DevOps Siva and you'll find this one. That's all for today. Have a nice day. See you in tomorrow's session. Bye-bye.